What's up, YouTube? It's JackalGoldKick. So this is a video idea that just came to my head just now. Drinking some Kahlua mixed with milk, by the way. So I won't go too much into detail, but currently not in the best financial situation. So at the time I'm recording this video, I have no internet. Xfinity's been on some bullshit lately. The internet bill was like $500, which I don't know why it's that much. It's insane. So I got to get this internet stuff figured out. So I've been without it, and I don't have any currently as I'm filming this video. It's the 20th of July. I think I've been without it since 17th. So 1, 2, 3, going on 4 days now. And basically what I wanted to talk about and what this video is going to be is how does it feel to not have internet, or whatever title I come up with, in 2023. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because internet is such a common thing now. Like nowadays, most people, not everybody, but most people do have internet. They're online. It's become such a huge part of the world and a huge part of society, and we need it for a lot of things. Hell, I need it for a lot of things. YouTube, making these videos, if I do any thumbnail work for someone, you know, talking to people online, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to tell you how it's been for me just being away from the internet for a day or more, due to it's due to the reasons I explained, but how it feels. It does feel like the old school days, that's for sure. I mean, I can't get on my phone and explore social media apps. I can't get online on my TV. I can't really go on any streaming services for movies. It feels like the old school days in the 2000s, where if you watched movies, you had to have a DVD or Blu-ray, and that's the only way you could watch the movies. Or I could play some video games, but I'm not going to play anything because I'm bored of everything in my collection, so that's not going to happen. But I do have music downloaded on my phone, as well as videos downloaded. But it definitely feels very old school. In some ways, there's some positives to it. You know, I don't stay in my room as much, going out for a walk. I mean, that's usually what I do anyways, but you know, it gives you more reasons and excuses to experience the real world and be around people, you know, because when you have no internet, this is one negative I will talk about in this video, how it feels not having internet in 2023. It's pretty boring. Like, unless you have some like video games to play that you're into, which I'm bored of my collection, or you have some movies to watch, which I do have movies to watch, but it's usually the same shit I watch over and over again, because I don't buy many movies or music to play or places to go. It can be pretty boring without internet, because you're very limited with what you can do because of how much internet has become such a huge part of the world and us as a whole. So I would say definitely the biggest negative is it can be more boring than usual, but at the same time, I'm not spending as much time in my room because there's nothing to really do in here, because I currently have no internet. Not wasting as much time on the phone. I'm talking to real people more than talking to people online. Going out for a walk, going to the store. Yesterday I went for a walk, and you know, I would say how it feels to have no internet in 2023 is that it definitely takes you back, you know, because I did live a decent while without internet in the 2000s. You know, I didn't have internet for a long time, and I've gotten so used to having it that, you know, there have been times where it didn't have it, and especially now it's happened again recently, that it does feel pretty weird, and it feels crazy kind of to go without internet because of how used to it I am. It can be boring, but it can have its positives, and it also keeps me away from my addiction, so that's something. So I don't really know what else to say in this video. I am running out of time. I got so many videos on my phone, so I don't have a lot of time left, but just figured this is something I would shoot in one take, how it feels to have internet, how it feels to not have internet in 2023. I mean, you can live, but it's not you know, preferable. So yeah, it's not preferable to go without internet, but it's interesting to like live in this world without internet to see how that is. And you know, I cleared a little bit of storage up so I can add some more stuff because there's some more I wanted to say in this video. Some other things I noticed is mental health wise, I am doing a lot better without no internet, because the only thing I'm really suffering from is boredom, which boredom sucks, but I'd rather deal with that than be depressed and sad and anxious and all that shit, you know. Plus with boredom, you know, you got movies, you can watch them, you got music downloaded, or if you got CDs, you can listen to them, you got video games, you can play them. This is why physical media comes in hand, I tell you that. You know, if you have people to talk to, which I do. But my mental health is definitely a lot better, I will say, just from this short time of being away from the internet. You know, I don't feel as depressed or as anxious or down in the dumps or just feeling like crap and feeling isolated and lonely and all that stuff. I don't feel a lot of that stuff, or a lot of those negative emotions and bad parts of your mental health being, you know, being present in life with the internet cut off. It makes my mental health better, to be honest with you, because when I do have internet, you know, yes, I try to go for walks. Yes, I try to spend time, you know, try to spend some time not being isolated. But still, when I do have internet, a lot of that time is spent in this room, in my room, on the TV all day, listening to music on YouTube, which is fun to do, and watching videos on YouTube is fun to do. But when you do that for long periods of time consistently, it really affects your mental health. You know, it's just not good or healthy to be stuck in the house every single day, all day long. And it could become routine and boring too. Well, yeah, kind of boring. Yeah, routine and just samey, basically. Because, you know, we all have good and bad days, but a lot of my bad days I've had, granted, I'm going through the recovery of getting off my addiction, so we have to factor that into the equation as well. But I do think some of the problems I'm dealing with mentally, where I'm like depressed or feeling down or anxious or lonely or isolated or just not feeling well mentally, I think that comes from being in the house way too long, but more specifically being in this room by myself for long periods of time, where I'm just sitting in front of my TV, listening to music on YouTube all day and watching YouTube videos. That stuff is fun, but I notice when I do it for long periods of time and for a while, and I just stay in here and don't really try to interact with people, you know, unless I go for a walk, that feels good. I do have a lot more negatives. There's a lot more negative emotions, you know? So I definitely notice my mental health is honestly a lot better without having internet. But because of how the world is and how things have changed, it's kind of hard to live. I mean, I guess you could make it work because there is the Amish, but it would definitely be way harder to consistently full-time live in this world without internet. But like I said, it gives you an excuse to interact with human beings, to be human, to experience the real world, to go outside of your house, or to spend time with people in your house that you live with, to watch movies or chat with and stuff like that. You know, you're pretty much forced to do that stuff because you can't do this or that or whatever or in your room because you have no internet. So there's not much more else I wanted to say. I just wanted to do this regular talk type video of me talking about how it feels to have no internet in 2023. I mean, internet has its pros and cons, but this is just a random idea I had. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about because internet is so integral and such a part of us now, and I was so used to having it for a long time. But just from the short time I've been away from it, biggest negative, you know, I can't make my videos, but the biggest negative, boredom. But my mental health is better because I'm actually interacting with people and I'm not in my room and all that stuff. You know, all the stuff I mentioned earlier. Whereas when I do have internet, there's a lot of stuff I do, and if I do it too long, it brings negative consequences. But that's all I got to say in this video. Peace. Just going to add a little bit more to this video, just one more part, because there was something else we got to talk about in this video. Another thing is there's a huge change when it comes to using your phone, because there's always something constantly going on the phone. And I do think I have a phone addiction, or at least a bad habit. I don't know which one it is, but you know, I do use my phone quite a lot, especially with internet, because there's tons of people to talk on there. There's constantly stuff going on YouTube and all the social media apps, and you can just be scrolling and scrolling everywhere on there. There's always something going on every single day, and it could become this habit and pattern where you're constantly every single day checking it and seeing what's going on. I mean, I kind of have an excuse to use it because I'm a YouTuber, and there's people I like that I talk to on here, and I got Patreon, so some money made here and there. But at the same time, what I'm basically trying to say is that I notice with internet, too much of that, of being on the phone, just scrolling aimlessly on social media, or talking to people, or just being on it all day long, every single day, I feel like it brings you down mentally, and you feel more, I guess like a zombie, and not as much as a human being, because you're just spending wasting all this time on the phone. And, you know, it can be very addictive. And I feel like bring you some negatives to your mental health and cause like depression and isolation, and you know, I'm not an expert, but it probably cause anxiety. And then so the phone stuff, I don't get on my phone as much or check it as much because I have no internet right now. I don't check my phone or get on it as much. The only time I really mess with it is if I'm like going for a walk and I have a video downloaded that I listen to, or if I listen to my music. Or for the most part, like when I have internet, I use my phone way more compared to when I don't have internet. So it's like a positive, because I'm not sitting there wasting all this time, because you know, a phone can be so addictive, and I would probably say I'm addicted to my phone, or at least have a bad habit. I don't quite know, but at the same time, it's like, how do you manage that? Because of how interconnected the world is with phones and social media and internet, you know, is it really something you can just kick or get rid of, like cigarettes or porn or drugs or stuff like that, you know? And then I guess I would say some other things is just to touch more into the old school thing. It takes me back to the old school days. It really does. It takes me back to the old school days, specifically the 2000s, because that's when I was a kid growing up, where I didn't have any internet and I didn't even have a phone. So what I had to do is watch movies on DVD, or play the video games I had, or hang out with friends, or back when I used to go to school. And that's how life was lived. There was no internet, there was no living on there, or getting on social media, or checking your phone constantly. There was none of that stuff. It was watching movies, playing video games. I mean, yeah, technically, I forgot to include this, there is cable TV. You know, you can have cable TV and not have internet. So cable TV was a thing back in the 2000s when I didn't have internet, so I forgot to include that. So cable TV definitely was a thing. I don't have cable TV anymore, so I can't use that. But if you do, it's something you can use, you know, without internet, individual thing. But cable TV is something else I had, where I watched cartoons and shows on top of the movies I owned and playing video games I owned, hanging out with friends, going to school, that kind of stuff. And I would say, in some ways, it was better, because I didn't have certain addictions that I do now that I'm trying to get rid of. You know, was able to get more of that real world experience. And it definitely just feels more old school. When I wake up, you know, there's no getting on my TV and wasting a bunch of time on YouTube, or getting on my phone aimlessly. It's just getting up and going for a walk, or talking to people in my house, or watching movie after movie, or listening to music on my phone. You know, just real world type stuff. There's none of that stuff the internet brings, because this is how it feels to not have internet in 2023, at least from my perspective. Yeah, and what else would I say? You know, there's nothing wrong with enjoying social media and internet and YouTube on your TV and playing video games on your phone and stuff, you know, but at the same time, I do think that too much of any of that stuff is bad for you, and it can have negative effects in your mental health and give you depression, anxiety, and you can become addicted to some of this stuff, or have an addiction in your life, and it can mess your life up in some ways. So you got to be careful with that. But I don't think there's anything else I need to say in this video. This is all I wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's it. Peace.